That's a little different, huh? Good choice, Tom. The awkward 4 o'clock opening in a non-traditional Jeff Cameron Show version, 4 to 6, that is primarily a regional preview begins. So we didn't think that we should do it the way that we do every other hour during the week with our traditional lead-ins. And we didn't think it should be the opening to the show. So I like what you did there.
Little foreboding,
Yeah, ominous, focused, ready to get it on. Florida State tonight against Tennessee Tech. The regional begins. Actually began a little bit earlier today with a win for Auburn over UCF. Auburn will be the opponent for Florida State if the Noles are to win tonight. They beat UCF 7-4. So one game in the books. In fact, we'll look around the other regionals and give you some score updates too. I know that many of you might be on your way to the ballpark in order to tailgate because you get down like that on a Friday night or Friday afternoon when Tallahassee's once again a regional host site.
Hammer right after the game.
Yeah, it's Jimbo. Sir, we got to keep it together. It's just game one. We've got big games to prepare for in the coming days. Well, at least they certainly will be if you're able to win tonight and move forward in this thing as a team in command of your own regional. Let's hope that's the case. I hate doing it the other way. I've seen it happen. But you know what? I take solace in the fact that the head coach at Florida State University, Mike Martin, is, not only is he a legend, an icon of the game, but he is a guy that has led his teams in these regional formats. There's been varying regional formats. In fact, I remember when there was just one regional, you had 6 teams in it, and it was let's get it on. Find out who goes to Omaha from here. But 99, I think, is they switched it over to sub-regional. Super regional is what we would call the next round.
Yeah, looking at the history of it, too, they kind of half-heartedly implemented the 6-team regional format. There was a period of time where there was only one 6-team regional across the country. The rest of them were 4. And then there was another time.
Just ease you into it?
They were easing into it.
Kind of easing you into it?
Then they had 2 6-team regionals, and then the rest of them were 4-team regionals.
Well, they were expanding the field, I know that, and they wanted this thing to kind of resemble to some degree, as much as they could, the NCAA basketball tournament, if you will, with seedings. But they've still regionalized this way too much. College baseball, if you ever really want to get into a fascinating discussion, maybe after he retires, Mike Martin will engage us in one of those about this publicly on the air. Because off the air, I've talked to him, and I've talked to, of course, Mike Martin Jr. and others in the game. I remember talking to Lee Bowen back when he would do play-by-play for Florida State, and Chip Baker, director of baseball operations. I've known Chip for a long time. Just about anybody that's in college baseball in any capacity will tell you how political it is. It's amazing with these regional sites and the teams that get in and don't and host and don't and who gets put in your region. And a lot of college baseball coaches aren't huge fans of the way that the committee goes about their business and how these host sites are frequently granted. Now, you can just straight up earn it and be dominant and put forth a powerful bid and do a good job when you host the tournament, and that will almost guarantee that it comes back. I mean, if it's profitable, people attend it, and it's well run, and your team is worthy of hosting, then it takes the politics out of it. And for Florida State, that's typically the case, right? Over the years, they've been a host team because they've been good. And in fact, they've been so good that sometimes I think we do take for granted that this is something that, you have to earn, that you got to go out and get it, make it happen. And this was one of those weird years where you were reminded that it's not a birthright. It's not just given to you. You got to go get it. And it was all on the line when they went to Louisville. And Florida State enters these regionals now a hot team who did what they had to do in order to be hosting today. And that is sweep Louisville at Louisville, turn around and beat them again in the ACC tournament, and go on to win the whole damn thing. And I do believe that had they lost any one of those games, any of them, they would not be hosting. So, quite frankly, it's an amazing run that they went on, and an undefeated run, a 12-2 month, and just a run for the ages that, as Mike Martin Jr. put it on Tuesday in our interview, will be known as the road trip, if you will, for years to come if they end up accomplishing what they want to accomplish. I think, frankly, even if they just get to Omaha, this will be known as the road trip because this was a 20-loss team with some real dire consequences on the line for losses, including, if you dare think about it, the outside possibility that as they went up to Kentucky for an extended stay, that if they lost a couple of games in a row there to start that road trip, they may not have made the postseason. Because if they had gone, it was a shortened series, but if they had lost both those games to Louisville and then lost their first game, say, I don't know who they would have been playing, how it would have changed the seeding and all of that, but say they would have lost to Notre Dame, if they went 0 on this trip and it was a very short trip instead of an extended one, they could have found themselves on the outside looking in. And because remember, North Carolina didn't make the tournament the year prior, and they actually had, I think, a winning record in the ACC, and they got left out because they didn't make the ACC tournament, and that was enough for the committee to say, no, you weren't even good enough to make your own tournament. We're not putting you in. And their RPI was in the top 30. And so it kind of came as a surprise. For Florida State, we don't know what would have happened. Luckily, we don't have to worry about it because what did happen were 2 big wins followed by another one, followed by a run through the ACC tournament and a hardware-winning campaign in the ACC tournament. So tonight they host, and tonight Drew Parrish pitches, and you'll find Mike Martin, who is 15-3 in these kinds of arrangements, meaning sub-regional play. Now, I'm not talking about number of wins over the course of those regionals. I'm talking about regionals won. In the sub-regional category, they don't lose all that often. They did 2 years ago in 2014. They lost in the first round, if you will. They didn't make supers, and they lost that regional, and that's hard to fathom. That's hard to stomach, too. But in the 18 times that they've played in these sub-regionals, they've won 15 of them. So they're 15-3, and I'll fall back on that because I always get nervous around this time. So to see that they've been, just to remind you, they've won a few of these.
To this point in the season, if you're a Florida State fan who checks in at regional time because you just expect Florida State to be here at regional time, there's a couple of things we do know. Number one, we know that Florida State now holds the longest streak for consecutive NCAA baseball postseasons made at 40. That's because the team that was ahead of Florida State did not make it this year. The program was the University of Miami. Miami was left out of the NCAA.
They were. They slid further into the abyss right now that is non-competitive, really not often thought about programs in multiple sports now.
Yeah, you know that Miami has the third fewest national championships across all sports of any team in the ACC since they joined the ACC. You know that Syracuse has already tied Miami for the number of national titles in the ACC that they've had since Miami joined.
So you're saying as a program, they are in just absolute disarray.
That they are, and that's something we do know. Another thing we know heading into this weekend is that in the 3 phases of the game, hitting, pitching, and defense, hitting has been their most consistently all season long. Defense has been more consistent in the last month or so.
Yeah, second half of the season, really.
And the pitching's gotten hot. The question is, does the pitching stay hot? Because if it does, then the sky is the limit, and we're not just talking about a regional preview show. We'll be talking about a super regional preview show and have a really good shot at a College World Series preview show, which would be the first time that we'd be able to do such a thing since 2012.
Yeah, 2012, the last time they went. That year they went 50-17. A very good baseball team. They were. Let's hope this is the beginning of that kind of run. By the way, Drew Parrish on the hill tonight is one of those guys that got hot, if you will, at the right time. Just more effective in the strike zone, both throwing that fastball and that curveball, which really drops off the table. He rides out tonight against a hard-hitting Tennessee Tech lineup that is one of the best slugging teams in all the country, at least statistically speaking. Now, again, you never know with some of these teams. Sometimes they are the real article, right? Those numbers aren't always deceptive. Sometimes you see a team like that playing in a smaller conference, in this case the Ohio Valley, and you think, I don't know if I can trust those numbers. Other times you see a team come in from a non-traditional conference, like baseball conference, I should say, a team like Indiana, and they've got power numbers that kind of raise an eyebrow, and you think, well, but that was in the Big Ten. And then they come in and they hit for power, and you realize one of them is Kyle Schwarber. Oh, he's pretty good. That kid hitting for power can hit for power at any level. And that team could hit the ball to the ballpark, and we saw it, unfortunately, firsthand. So I don't know what Tennessee Tech is. I know they're the 4 seed, and I know they hit. But I know that they thought, the staff did, that it would be best to throw Drew Parrish tonight. They wanted to give Tennessee Tech's bats a look at a lefty. And on this show today, what you're going to hear as we go through till 6 is really kind of an extended look at the regional and at this season and at this Florida State team. And we'll do it, some with snippets from the Mike Martin Jr. interview I did on Tuesday. We'll play some of that for you towards the end of the hour. Next hour, we're going to bring in Eric Llewellyn, play-by-play for Florida State, and get his thoughts on the season that was. And we'll have some audio from Mike Martin himself from earlier as well. And he's in a good mood, and he should be, because it's funny, we talk about this in the sport of golf a lot, where I always marvel, because I don't know how you do it, but I always marvel when a player will say, well, I'm just trying to kind of focus my game and have it ready for the Masters, or have it ready for the U.S. Open, or whatever that particular major is that they're building up to. And I wonder, how does one in that sport go about the process of shaping their game or refining their game to get ready for a specific type of course, or in this case, a major? Well, in college baseball, you hear teams and players and fans alike talk about the idea that you just got to get hot at the right time. You got to be playing your best baseball at just the right time. And, well, listen, if there were a formula that everybody could utilize to get hot at the right time, they would. It's just not something you can necessarily put your finger on. Now, sometimes there are some definitive reasons, and you can point to them. And for this team, I think it's pretty clear. They spent the vast majority of this season dealing with a lot of setbacks, a lot of injuries, and it affected the way that they played. But in addition to that, there was a stretch where not only did it affect the way that they played because they weren't healthy in their lineup, but I think it had an effect on them psychologically. I don't think they always played their best brand of baseball, even when they got healthy, because there was this lingering effect of some of the series losses, where every time something could go wrong, it did. And you begin to feel snake bit. And they're not going to admit that. They're not going to talk about that. Coaches try to ignore those kinds of things because it's often viewed as loser talk. You've fallen back on excuses. So whatever it was, a combination of all those things, it appears to be in the rearview mirror. They appear to be one of those teams that you would describe aptly right now as the one that got hot at the right time, because they put a beating on the rest of the field in the ACC tournament, cruised to an ACC title, went up to Louisville and beat a team that, since entering the conference, has been really hard to beat in their own place, hadn't lost a home series since 2015, and Florida State kind of made it look easy. And went up there and won 3 times, 2 in the series itself and 1 in the ACC tournament. And that was a team that was playing as well as anybody, Louisville was. So they are hot at the right time.
There is a saying that goes, don't bet against a streak. However, when Drew Parrish fires the first pitch tonight, I'm going to be nervous because Tennessee Tech has hit 96 home runs this year, and they do slug, and the pitching has been inconsistent. However, you look at what Parrish did last week. He had the performance against Notre Dame, a light-hitting Notre Dame team. This is the hard part. How do you equate all this stuff? Right? The Ohio Valley Conference champion, Tennessee Tech, has hit nearly 100 home runs. So how do they equate to a Notre Dame baseball team that was light-hitting? And we knew it all year long. I mean, that almost was the last team that Drew Parrish pitched successfully against before his start in the ACC tournament. And then he puts up a bunch of zeros, and he gives the bats a chance to come alive because Florida State didn't bring him a game 1 of the ACC tournament in Louisville, Kentucky. They had to win that game in extra innings. Then he pitches well against North Carolina, bases loaded, nobody out, strikes out the side from that point, strands 3. And his confidence has to be flying high. But we're watching the Auburn-UCF game earlier today in the studio.
Yeah.
And you're confident about what we're going to do this weekend in the regional.
I feel good about it. Yeah, I do. And I also thought Auburn would win that game today, by the way. So I'm off to a good start with my predictions.
You are off to a good start. We hope the Louisville-level clairvoyance makes its way back here.
Right.
Maybe you could tell us what the weather's going to be on the weekend. Are we going to have a traditional weather?
It's always hot this time of year, Tom, so I'm going to fancy a guess that it's going to be pretty warm and humid. And I'll also tell you this, there's usually a spattering of rain, too. So deal with some rain, some inclement weather, and when that's not happening, it's largely going to feel like a steam bath. So that's what we're going to have this weekend. That's my guess.
Okay, yeah, but
in the state of Florida in June.
How about this? Over under 3 hours, 20 minutes of total delays by the time we hit the air on Monday. Over under 3 hours, 20 minutes.
Over.
Okay. Oh, that sucks. Okay.
But do you mean specific to Florida State or the regional?
The regional. So tomorrow's noon start is the losers bracket game, and then on Sunday, game
if you're
one's
going to
at
say
noon.
the regional, then I'll go over with that number. I'll go over.
Bottom line, to stay on point, as I got off target there, is you feel confident. And still,
I do.
I'm a little bit more concerned because I don't know that this is a flash in the pan from a couple of starters or if this is an indicator of they found something, and they found something right when they needed to find something.
Well, for Drew Parrish, it's pitching with confidence and snapping off that curveball, which is a brutally tough pitch to hit when he's throwing it for strikes. It's what helps him get away with an average fastball that he locates pretty well. If he mixes up the changeup in there, then you got a chance to have a dominant afternoon or evening in this case. Let's hope that's the case. For Sands, I've always trusted this stuff. The results haven't been there this year, but if what he did at the end of the year and what we saw him do in his start in the tournament is any indicator, then it's a good sign because he's got 4 pitches, and he can throw 3 of those pretty consistently for strikes. And I'll tell you, when the changeup's working, he's very good. And so we don't know the answer to that, Tom. It's hard to know, but at least the last bit of evidence we had was that of a guy who looked real confident and pitched real well.
Well, I think the concern here is that you're back home and there's expectations again. You know, it's one thing to be able to go on the road to Louisville and facing, not being in the postseason.
Yeah,
If it doesn't go well, then you air it out. You let it go, and your mind is free. But you come back to Hauser, sometimes, a raucous home atmosphere can have a backwards effect. That is to say that you feel the pressure as the home team. So,
man, I want to interject here because that is a big theme right now for all of us thinking about this team is that can they play as loose as they did on the road? Can they play as well and have as much fun as they seem to be having? Now, winning oftentimes reveals that, right? It's always fun to win. But they just seemed like a team that was having fun regardless and knew, hey, let's make this a good time. That's kind of easy to do when your back's against the wall and maybe you're just going for broke because you got nothing else left to lose. Now you have something to lose. Like you could lose a home regional. Now there are expectations. Now you're the 1 seed hosting. Sure, you're right. That is a big question mark. But I will tell you, I get a sense that Quincy Neaporte specifically is the answer to what ails you when it comes to your mindset and whether or not you're having fun. Because that dude's going to have fun no matter what, no matter where he is, probably for the rest of his life. He strikes me as that guy, and they seem to take cues from him. When he's dancing around doing all the silly stuff that he does and having fun, guys crack up. It's a yuck fest. Every team wants a guy like that. Everybody loves to have a guy like that. But if you have one and it's genuine and people love to be around a guy like that, it loosens everybody up.
You bring that name up, and it's funny. It just occurs to me. His final game, we thought it was going to be his final game, was a Sunday against Wake Forest.
Yeah, they gave him a standing O.
A standing O. He comes, I believe it was a 5-for-5 day at the plate.
Oh, he was incredible,
for
yeah.
Neaporte.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when, he was white hot.
And we lost that game.
We did lose that game, but you thought, we're not going to get to see these guys back here in Tallahassee the rest of the year. So the seniors, happy trails. Nope.
Not
we're
here.
To be. We're back again. It's time for the encore.
It's a beautiful thing. Before we go to break, a long-winded opener here, but that's okay. That's how we roll on a Friday. I'll give you scores right now. A little update action from regionals across the country, and I'll tell you that Florida Gulf Coast currently leads Michigan in the bottom of the 8th, 8-6. We got a war right there, Tom.
Ooh, Michigan was up early in that game.
Yeah, it's 8-6 Florida Gulf Coast, team we saw Florida State play this year. Oklahoma. This is kind of a surprise. Trails Xavier 2-0 in the 7th inning. In that regional, you look over at, and by the way, that's the Louisville regional. Maryland and West Virginia. West Virginia up 8-1, big over Maryland. We remember that Maryland program when they were in the ACC. That's the Winston-Salem regional. Over the Hattiesburg regional, Southern Miss is trailing to UIC 6-4 there. In the Baton Rouge regional, kind of surprise start to that one. 3 errors committed by a red-hot LSU team going into this postseason. Texas Southern is up 3-0 over LSU currently, again, in the Baton Rouge Regional. You think their fan base is like, what in the world is going on here? But it's only the 3rd inning.
If you dare to dream that far ahead, LSU is the national seed that Florida State would be paired with.
Don't
in the
need
College
them
World
winning.
Series.
Go ahead and let's see them get bounced. Come on,
if
Texas
you dare
Southern.
to dream about such things.
Oklahoma State and Missouri State playing in Fayetteville, that regional. It's Missouri State 3, Oklahoma State 0 in the fourth inning. We have a lot of weird scores here early on.
I don't like it, man.
A lot of weird scores. Here's another one for you early in Corvallis, Oregon. Yale 2, Nebraska nothing early in that game as well. They're still just in the first inning, but Nebraska's starter is getting lit. He's given up 4 hits in the first so far, and they're still not out of the inning.
What are you doing, man? I don't like this. Makes us all nervous.
BYU and Sacramento State, they're playing in the Stanford Regional. I've been on that baseball field. It's a glorious place out there, Palo Alto. No score in that game. And, of course, the rest of these things will be played tonight. Well, not all of them. Actually, I should say Kentucky won earlier today, 6-4. Now, that Kentucky had one of their best seasons ever, and to only win 6-4 will probably also make you nervous. But they did beat Ohio 6-4 earlier today. That is in the Lexington Regional, and Vanderbilt 13, St. John's 4.
There you go.
There you go. Vanderbilt steamrolls St. John's. UCF lost, as you know, and I said it at the outset of the show earlier today, to Auburn 7-4. So if we win tonight, we'll be playing Auburn. South Florida, by the way, got a win over Bethune-Cookman. That's in the Gainesville Regional just down the road. 9-1. South Florida won that game. No score. Delaware, Texas Tech. Couple last scores here. Texas A&M is up on Baylor. There's a delay in that game, weather delay, as that's wont to happen this time of year around the country. 2-0 Texas A&M leads Baylor in the third inning in a delay. And Virginia and Dallas Baptist, no score in that game. They did start it, then they had to stop it immediately. Top of the first, Fort Worth Regional, no score between those two teams. They're in a delay as well. And that's a look around the country at the other regionals. It's Jeff Gibbert Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Neese Tire and Auto Service. Neese has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Neese Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Neese Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Kraft Nissan includes our free lifetime warranty with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
The Home Depot has a new idea. Free carpet installation that means free carpet installation. Clearing out furniture? Free. Ripping out old carpet? No charge. Hauling it away? On the house. No hidden fees, just free installation on carpet $699 or more. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid on carpet priced $1 or more per square foot. Unique specialty items and requirements may be priced separately. Not valid in all markets. See HomeDepot.com for details. Offer ends June 7th.
Most people only get one precious opportunity to ask the love of their life to dinner. I've had around 703. Every day around 10 a.m. in Bumpus, Virginia. She runs a stationery company out of her garage. I deliver packages, say sign here, engage in small talk, and today, on my 704th chance, I'm taking one.
If this 20-second performance made you feel something, imagine what an entire Audible book can do. Visit audible.com to start your free 30-day trial.
Milwaukee and Cornerstone Tool and Fastener are nothing but heavy duty. M18 Fuel 2-tool combo kit for only $3.99. Add on Milwaukee M18 High Demand 9.0 battery and the Tick Tool Equipment Tracker for only $29.99. Milwaukee's 9.0 battery has up to 5 times more runtime than normal. The Tick Tracker has a 1-year runtime and tracks up to 100 feet in range. Tick tracks anything, survives everything. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 580-1200 or online at ctf.nu. Oh no, my lunch has been ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. So dry. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your mouth cannonball into a barrel of mothballs? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Kiana Redding has been chosen Employee of the Month. An accounts receivable specialist, Kiana's determination, dedication to her work, and outstanding performance reflect the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Kiana.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Happy Regional Friday, happy Libations Friday, loosey-goosey edition of the Jeff Cameron Show / regional preview. After this segment, I believe we'll take it on over to the Mike Martin Jr. interview. Pieces of. We won't play the whole thing for you because you've already heard it and because there were things that were more pertinent we wanted to point to within that interview about the team's turnaround and the things that led to it. And some of the insights there that Mike gave us on Tuesday. And again, next hour, Eric Llewellyn will join us in the 5 o'clock hour, and we'll talk about the season and then about what to expect maybe tonight from Drew Parrish and really looking ahead at the other parts of the regional. We went through scores a moment ago, right before we went to break, and you are reminded constantly, and unfortunately, much to Tom's chagrin here, I think, this is. It's a nerve-wracking time for the higher-seeded team, and it's not uncommon to see these teams get off to poor starts where you're left with a raised eyebrow wondering, well, what's going on with Louisville trailing to Radford, or what's happening to, name your team, right? And baseball's a funny game. A lot of these teams, a lot of these hosts will not go unblemished. They'll win their regional. You'll find that they'll go on to win their regional. But they won't go unblemished. They'll have a loss, and it's sometimes right out the box. I mean, I've watched us come back to win regionals in which we lost the first game. Listen, the teams that make the postseason are good baseball teams, and they usually have a guy. There's a guy on the hill that was their ace. And when you see the lower-seeded team, in this case it's a 4 seed, but I used to fear it when there were 6 teams in the regional, and you'd see a team roll in, and you'd think that team has no chance. And the truth was they didn't, because they never had a depth of pitching. They never had the kind of overall firepower offensively, typically up and down their lineup. But all of them were always good enough to win a game. They could. They didn't always, but they could, because they would throw the one guy who was probably going to get drafted off that team, the one guy who was their ace all year long, who is good enough to miss bats, good enough to paint corners, or good enough on a night to really feel it, right? Just to find that moment and make it his. I've seen it happen.
Well, what did we just get done talking about in the first segment? There's something to being able to play with reckless abandon, and I think that's an element of it too.
Yeah, nobody expects us to win this. Yeah,
right. And I'm not saying that Florida State would rather be playing this on the road, except for maybe in Louisville, Kentucky. Maybe they would want to play it specifically in Louisville, Kentucky.
They liked the environs, didn't they? Yeah.
They did. It didn't matter if it was a minor league ballpark or on the campus of U of L, but still. It's just I'm not going to give Tennessee Tech the hell to the NOS status. They got a fighting chance tonight because they can slug, and what can't we do? What's our biggest weakness? If we were a team that had 3 stud pitchers, right, and they were all season long, you'd feel a lot better about your chances because our best would, negate what they do best. However, our biggest vulnerability appears to be Tennessee Tech's biggest strength. So that's why I'm on pins and needles. And then when you're saying that there's something in the air today on a Friday of the first regional games.
Well, a lot of those games were in the 3rd and 4th inning. And for example, Tom, LSU had committed 3 errors in the first. They had given up 4 hits. They were down 3-0 when we went to commercial break. It's now 4-3 LSU. So you can, there you go. It's turning around for you, buddy.
Sure, but the thing is, we talked about this yesterday. What do you do? And then the coaching staff has to be prepared for the worst. Expect the worst, and when the best happens, then you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
But Carlton has to be your first guy out of the bullpen today if things are going squirrely early on, and let's say it's 3 or 4-0 Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, and if you got to throw them for extended periods of time and you don't have them for the next couple of games, then so be it. Because yes, you'd like to win the game. You need to win this game. It's ideal to win this game and not put yourself in a terrible situation where every time you take the field, you're on the brink of elimination, and that's no way to want to play. That's no way to have to play, and we've seen what that can do. That has an effect on the way you play the game. So, yeah, staying in the winner's bracket is pretty key. That said, though, you never go into a baseball game fearing the worst possible outcome, right? I mean, I had a guy text me, and several people have asked this question before, why don't more of these teams throw their aces? Because the trick is to stay in the winner's bracket and not have to deal with anything, and, you take your chances with the next guy up a game instead of being in the loser's bracket. Well, it's a calculated risk. Yes, it could backfire when you don't throw your ace in the first game, but if you look around the country, you'll notice that most 1 seeds hosting regionals aren't throwing their ace against the 4 seed, because if you're 2 or you're 3 can't beat a team that, is not the same caliber of team, certainly not the same conference, not the same overall class of player, there may be individuals that match up, then you know what? You probably aren't going to be going very far anyhow.
Sure. Again, this is just it's for us to be concerned, not the players. The players have to go out there and play, but we're fans, or in some cases media. I mean, I'll be at the auxiliary press row tonight.
Yeah.
But so I'll be quiet and I won't cheer or anything like that. But I'll be nervous inside. That you internalize that because again, this team has been inconsistent to pour against expectations for this program for 90% of the regular season. Now, are they hot right now, or are they playing up to a greater potential that we know is in them? Is this something other than a flash in the pan? And that's what this weekend is all about. Because dare I say, if they get through this regional, we will feel more, at least I will personally feel more confident about the super regional than I will have this weekend right here.
That's interesting. I look at it differently. I'm nervous about the postseason at all times just because I want so badly for them to get back out to Omaha and give themselves yet another chance to bring home that elusive national title. But I don't really start getting nervous until that becomes something that you can see at the light at the end of the tunnel. The opportunity is actually there. This sub-regional, I expect them to play well. I don't get nervous till it's 1-1 in a super. And you're like, we're a win away from going out to Omaha, from giving ourselves a shot at the whole thing. There's so much on the line in that moment. This regional, I want to win it. I'm always a little nervous, like I said, but I don't really start getting amped up until we get to that place.
Because this is such a unique circumstance, I think that's why I feel the way I do. Because if you validate what you've done on the weekend to close out the ACC,
then you're going to start to see that it could be a reality.
Rolling.
Yeah, this train's rolling, yeah.
And it's rolling, man. And we know what the upper end of what this team can do is, and the country did. That's why this was a consensus top 5 team in the preseason.
I think, too, Tom, they have to, again, we'll talk about this throughout the next hour and a half or so. At varying points, I'm sure, when we talk to Eric Llewellyn, I'll bring it up to him. But, there's no surefire way to bring it about. But the idea of whatever you did, whatever you said or didn't say to this team before that road trip, let's just stick with that. Because the way they played, the looseness, the fun, and the way the game kind of played out, the way that they just stayed on it. Think about the Notre Dame game. They really hadn't done much. And Notre Dame was hitting the ball hard. A lot of atom balls in that game. And yet Florida State stayed the course and then eventually got an opportunity and made big plays along the way, including the Wells throw. But then you get, you break out the dong and you walk away with a victory.
Hey, now it's a party, man.
Now it's
a
party.
What I'm saying?
What have we done here? Maybe they'll break out the dongs tonight. Who knows? Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. That's 800-344-2066.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050. Milwaukee and Cornerstone Tool and Fastener are nothing but heavy duty. M18 Fuel 2-tool combo kit for only $3.99. Add on Milwaukee M18 High Demand 9.0 battery and the Tick Tool equipment tracker for only $29.99. Milwaukee's 9.0 battery has up to 5 times more runtime than normal. The Tick tracker has a 1-year runtime and tracks up to 100 feet in range. Tick tracks anything, survives everything. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 580-1200 or online at ctf.nu.
Geez, dude, you need to change your blinker fluid.
That's not a thing.
And your thoracic couplet is totally shot.
Really?
It is.
Look, nothing gets by me. Just like this oil filter. Nothing gets by Purolator.
Hey, if you're using Purolator Boss, you know your stuff.
Oh yeah, protection up to 15,000 miles.
Ooh, but you really should replace your Vesuvius valve.
Stop talking.
Purolator oil, air, and cabin air filters. Nothing gets by us. Available at Advance Auto Parts, Pep Boys, and other fine retailers.
If you haven't stopped into Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out.
Hey, it's me, Courtney. Hey, it's me, Marissa. Last but not least, I'm Kim, and we're the girls from the Fourth Quarter.
Okay, girls, there are lots of great nights to stop in at the Fourth Quarter, including Monday, where it's happy hour all day, including 2-for-1 Wells. There's Tuesday night trivia with Professor Jimmy, where you can win money. What other night should we stop by the Fourth Quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink.
I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 Wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the Fourth Quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill, Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday. Brought to you by Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill. Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio on this Libations Friday / Regionals have begun celebration edition of the program. You know, when you say the word celebration anymore, you want to say it's a celebration. You can't, I can't conclude that, but you want to say that every time.
I saw FSU golf over the past weekend when they were out playing in the national title. They had to suspend play after the first day due to darkness.
Yeah.
And so they used the gym.
Darkness.
That's a pretty evil usage. I was proud of FSU
man.
golf for its Twitter game there.
Good on you. Good on you indeed.
Show them kicking the couch.
That we cannot repeat in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, yeah.
It's an all-timer. So we had earlier in the week our interview with Mike Martin Jr., and it was a pretty lengthy interview. I'm not going to replay the entire interview for you, but we'll give you good snippets from it for those of you who missed. We kind of covered the whole season, and it's obviously one that culminated in quite a run, one that has allowed for the hosting taking place tonight for Florida State. And we did talk about the way the season played out. We talked about, and he gets into some of the discussion centered around the pitching, which has been problematic all year long, but improved late, and the health of the team too. You know, that's another aspect of some of what you'll hear here. You'll also hear him comment on the other teams in the regional. And earlier today, Auburn won. They beat UCF 7-4, and we kind of figured that might be the case. You know, it's interesting. Auburn was a team, and we learned this yesterday. Todd Walker, former LSU great, college baseball Hall of Famer, 12-year Major League vet. We all remember. If you watch baseball, you know who Todd Walker is. He's doing the color analysis for tonight's game for Florida State and Tennessee Tech. And he talked about having seen Auburn quite a bit this year, and that when they lost a starting pitcher from the rotation for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or so, it was interesting. It seemed to affect the entirety of the team. It's not just his start. It was the team as a whole kind of fell to pieces, and they were terrible down the stretch going, I think he said 2-12, 2-10, or something like that. They'd lost 10 of their last 13, something bad.
Exactly.
And so he thought they might be buoyed by the fact that young man came back, the Mize kid came back, and that they can play. I mean, they had a great year until that happened, then got kind of derailed, struggled down the stretch, and hence the reason they didn't get to host, hence the reason there are 3, etc.
The one reality about tomorrow, should Florida State carry the night tonight and go into the winner's bracket, is whether or not they were going to play UCF or Auburn, they were going to face another top-flight pitcher.
Yeah, that you knew, right?
And the way it sounds is that Auburn had the better of the 1-2 combo. And so, I was rooting earlier today for UCF to get it done because then we face the lesser of two evils, even though both are good pitchers.
Yeah, and we've beaten UCF twice this year. You can beat that team.
But that just wasn't the case. And so, an Auburn team that, yes, was thought to be a national seed earlier this season and certainly a regional host a couple of weeks ago, they're potent. They're strong, and that's a 3. That's the 3.
Yeah, they won.
Regional. They're not the 2.
They won 7-4. And that UCF team won 40 games. They went 40-20. They were very good. So you see why they were the 2. But Auburn struggled down the stretch, and the record's not pretty. But they have the capability of playing well. Worry about that down the road. You got to win tonight's game. And Drew Parrish starts tonight for Florida State. And in fact, that gets touched on a little bit here. Not who was going to start, but in talking about the pitching turnaround for both Sands and Parrish, Mike Martin Jr. joined us with that. So here is snippets from my interview with Mike Martin Jr. earlier. So in that sense, this has to be probably in many ways more satisfying than the years in which this team cruised to ACC dominance and cruised into the postseason. You guys were up against it. There's no getting around that. After that series loss to Wake, you have to go to Louisville, who hasn't lost at home since 2015, and you got to win a series to avoid finishing sub 500. But you do that, and then you parlay that into a hell of a run in the ACC championship and win that. You have to be, as a coach who's gone through all this aforementioned stuff, you've got to be as satisfied as you've ever been.
Oh, no question. No question. I think that, you saw that in regards to the club. They were just as happy as they could possibly be, proud of each other. There's an awful lot of borderline tears after that one because we needed it. We needed it bad, and we knew we were going to turn the corner. Sure, there was times you're saying maybe we're not, but it is extremely satisfying, and again, can't say it enough. Just so proud of.
Well, let's pass around the credit because the team's ERA in the ACC tournament was a 1.62. That'll help win you a whole bunch of baseball games. And a team that, as I said earlier in the year, didn't do so many things right defensively. In the second half of the season has gotten right there too. They've played smarter baseball. Let's talk about this team as a whole. Even after losing App, when you put Holton out there, I do want to ask you, were there times earlier this year where he could have seen the field offensively as a hitter? Because it looks like that kid, I guess his first at-bat came in the second game against North Carolina in that situation. I mean, from that time on, that kid's looked like he should be a hitter, not a pitcher, or both. I mean, what his prospects anyhow are of both. Talk about. Did you think about using him earlier?
We felt like we were doing what was best for him. It's a heck of a workload to do both. And we're saying, all right, well, this guy's a bona fide big legger on the mound. Let's take it easy on his arm. Don't be slamming him into the outfield walls trying to do this and that. Well, all of a sudden, there goes Jay Luke. Shin splints, shingles. He's out for however long, 3 weeks. Daughtry goes in, does a nice job filling in. Apple, and next thing you know, and we lose Petrie. Next thing you know, we're like, gosh, we don't have anybody out. We need a guy. And Tyler's the epitome of a winner. He didn't have that crutch and say, well, I haven't, picked up a bat in a month and a half. Just, let me compete. And obviously what he's done since has been remarkable because he's really saved us. There's no doubt on the mound and with the bat.
What has Drew Parrish found in the last, say, 10 days?
Change up for strikes. You go back and look at Cole. When Cole struggled, there's some fastball command issues, but it's a change up for strikes. It's the ultimate equalizer. You go and look at any team that we've struggled against. Those 3 pitches for strikes, with the change up being the emphasis, that's the key. And it's obviously what Tyler Holton does. Drew Carlton as a starter, that's what he can do. That change up is the pitch. And Drew always had a good one, but it was that one that would be thrown. It was okay in high school because they'll swing at it. Well, they won't swing at it this level, and you got to, be able to throw it for strikes. And once he gets that thing going, and he ain't scared of nothing either. That joker just give me the ball and let me compete.
Well, those 3 outs with the bags loaded against Louisville,
huge.
I mean that's insane, right?
That's it. As a freshman to do that after throwing 80-something pitches 3 days earlier, and he was trying to politic the day before.
Yeah, I meant to say UNC, by the way. Sorry. But, yeah, that's crazy, right? I mean, how big – you just think about what he is now and what that does for you guys moving forward. I mean, all right, so take me through the regional. First of all, congratulations on the ACC championship. Congratulations on hosting yet again another regional. Let's talk about the regional and how you guys are going to approach it, starting with Tennessee Tech.
Well, they can bang it. You look at their numbers, that's what they do. They try to outslug you. We're going to figure out who we're throwing. We haven't decided yet. But the main thing is you got to, with a team like that, they try to, get on base and hit a 3-run home run. Earl Weaver would love them. Actually we kind of play that way as well. But, you got to play defense. You can't give them extra outs, the usual stuff. You got to throw it over the plate. Don't give them freebies and, keep the ball in the ballpark. But just starting to watch them, really don't know a whole lot about them. But, today's the day we'll start, preparing for them.
Take us through the rest of this. Obviously, UCF, and they were in line to maybe host a regional until right up towards the end. And at one point, I know earlier this year, Auburn was a team that was thought to be surely doing the same. So this is a tough regional.
Oh, there's no question it is. We played UCF early in the season and, jumped out to leads. And, in the second game, obviously you don't want to burn your guy and, you got another game. And so their best bullpen arms came into the game in the second game from about the 6th inning on, and it was like, oh, wow. They've got some guys down there, and, of course, we didn't see their weekend starters either. And, they were in line to host, got over 40 wins. And, same with Auburn. They got 2 frontline guys. Their Friday and Saturday guys are both, high draft picks and can really older guys that could really pitch. Again, we haven't looked at them either, but they were in line to host, so it's going to be a good one.
going back through those numbers before bringing you on, I was looking at the ACC tournament and seeing what you got from your stars. And, you as a hitting coach have to be so proud of a lot of these guys. But, Dylan Busby goes 12 for 28 with 6 extra base hits. Drew Mendoza, the 2 home runs in the ACC tournament championship game. Jackson Luke, tournament MVP. I think he was 7 of 16, I read this morning, and all. I mean, you have your guys, your hitters. This is a potent lineup, and to your point earlier, they're all healthy now for the most part.
That's what I was about to say. There you have it. Jackson Luke, I mean, he's 60 at-bats, I think, behind everybody else. Drew Mendoza's got half. Busby, missed probably 5 or 6 games. And, again, we're right where we want to be. Thank goodness we're right where we want to be. And we got it figured out. We're playing better and got a little mojo, and, we're excited.
Did you think, by the way, that I mean, I know it's easy now because it's happened. You won the tournament. You got hot. You won the 2 games at Louisville before the tournament. You were able to turn this thing around and get it righted, but it came right up against it. And I've obviously covered and watched this team for a long time. You guys have had some years where things weren't going well, but I had never seen a team look as almost convoluted, disjointed, and struggling the way this one had. Now, some of that is, of course, without question, the injuries. But at some point as a coach, I'm just curious, now that it's behind you and you're getting focused on this, do you just think it's a snake bit year? We're not going to come out of this tailspin. We just can't seem to catch a break?
No. I told this shows you where we were and the way people were thinking around here. I got concession people 2 days before we're leaving to go to Louisville. They're cleaning out everything from this stadium, and I walked by. I said, "What are y'all doing?" And they kind of put their head down. I said, "No." I said, "I'll tell you what. I'll see you guys Tuesday when you start putting all this stuff back in, and I would have helped you, but there ain't no way I'm going to help you now." So I got to tell you, I mean, they got a bunch of work to do around here to get ready for this regional. So, we never, again, doubted it. I mean, the boss was awesome. He said, "Look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go up, we're going to sweep them, and we're going to run through this tournament. We're going to be right where we want to be." He kind of paused and looked around, and I want all eyes on me. You hear me? This is what's about to happen, and this will go down in the history of the Florida State program as the road trip, the one that turned everything around, because that's what we are. We're Seminoles. We're unconquered. We never stop fighting. We never stop believing in each other. Period.
And that's
he said, if you don't, you get your stuff right now and get your ass out of here. And there you go. And again, we knew we were getting healthy. We saw, Mendoza starting to click. Jay Luke was locking in. Buzzer was swinging. Everything pointed towards it. And that's what's so satisfying once again.
Mike, I got to ask you though, because and just in fairness now, perhaps I'm being defensive. When 11 says to the press after the Wake series, we're not hosting a regional.
I don't think did he say it exactly like that?
Yeah.
I know he said, "I don't care." I still believe in these guys, and that's what he told us.
He said we're not hosting a regional. So
he might tell y'all one thing, but he dang sure never told this club that. I can promise you.
Well, and I believe that, and I know how good he has been over the years. Of that, what's in that clubhouse is very different than anything that's outside of it, and you guys have kept that together forever, and it's always been that way. And so I don't doubt for a second that inner belief is there. But at some point, right, that reality, all of these problems had led to that record in a situation where it certainly didn't look good. Did you know, you say it was all pointing in that direction, and I'm going to let you go, but, Cal has been, you said earlier that Cal's been dealing with problems all year long, and he's come up with, some really big-time situational hits the last 3 weeks. Dating back to the home run Sunday against Wake, is he feeling better?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's been getting treated, the wrist, and he got one back-to-back off his right toe, a foul tip, and then he smoked one, when he was hitting off his toe, and that's strides. But when you can start to lay that thing down, it's about to hurt. It's kind of hard to hit, and obviously with a bad wrist, that's tough to do as well. But he's gutted it out, and he's getting better. Obviously, the toe's just about gone. The wrist is a never-ending battle, but he's what it's all about. That joker's been back there 95% of the time and taking a beating and, still grinding away.
Have we hugged it out? Are we okay?
We're always good, Jeff. We're all 7-0. But one day we'll look back at this because this was a good one.
Well, I appreciate it, man, and thanks for coming on. And you know what? Congratulations. I mean that sincerely. We're all pulling for you, and obviously everybody will be out there this weekend. And and watch Florida State win in another regional.
No, we love it, and we need it. And to all the fans that are listening, 11's going to do it as well, I'm sure. But we got to get the crowd going and get that Seminole mystique, Hauser mystique going, and get this thing done.
After the year is over and the Hauser mystique has done its job, we can talk about how we're going to tear it down. That was Mike Martin Jr., who joined us earlier in the week, commenting on the season. The interview was longer. If you want to hear more of it, you can go to ESPNTallahassee.com and find it in the archived audio. You could go on iTunes. You could go on YouTube and go back and watch that interview. It was from Tuesday, I believe. So you can do that. But I thought it was pretty insightful, and I thought it was interesting to kind of recap the season that way. This show today, pretty much building towards the game tonight, and primarily focusing on Florida State baseball. And to that end, coming up next hour, we'll have Eric Llewellyn join us on the program. We'll talk to him about the game tonight, really the season that was, as he was there for every single one of those games and was calling them. He'll call tonight's action. He'll join us next on the Jeff Cameron Show in the final hour. Stay tuned.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Working on the car, huh?
Yeah, it's been stalling.
It could be friction from your floor mats.
No.
Oil change too? Better change your oil fuses.
Nice try. Hand me that Purolator Boss filter.
Wow. Protects up to 15,000 miles?
Right. Nothing gets by Purolator. Or me.
Great. Now let's demagnetize those floor mats.
This is sad now.
Purolator oil, air, and cabin air filters. Nothing gets by us. Available at Advance Auto Parts, Pep Boys, and other fine retailers.
What is today? Today's the day you do absolutely nothing. Put it on silent nothing, because you aren't one to let chore time get in the way of your time. And that's why you use Echo Outdoor Power Equipment. Save 20% on all Echo Pro Grade string trimmers, chainsaws, and blowers during the Echo One-Day Sales Event, and take the hassle out of yard work.
Don't miss the Echo One-Day Sales Event this Saturday from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. at TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to the Dairy Queen in Thomasville.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world.
Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Kiana Redding has been chosen Employee of the Month. An accounts receivable specialist, Kiana's determination, dedication to her work, and outstanding performance reflect the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Kiana.
You wake up to birds chirping before the alarm even starts to ring. It's 6 a.m. and dawn's barely here. A choir of birds singing in your ear. It was cute at first, but now it's just the worst. Wrap it up, guys. When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
The next generation of power is at the Home Depot, and it's found in Ryobi One Plus tools. Right now during Ryobi Days, buy a Ryobi One Plus lithium-ion compact drill driver kit and get another select Ryobi One Plus tool free, a $79 value. The same battery runs both tools, plus over 70 other One Plus tools. So drill it, drive it, cut it, and save. During Ryobi Days, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid 5/18 through 6/22.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for this week. And it is a dual effort today. A little Libations Friday / yeah, man, regional play has started edition of the program. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, remember we got you covered. We'll post all 3 hours both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. And it will be brought to you with limited commercial interruption thanks to our great sponsor, the fine folks at Southland Commercial. The knowledge and know-how, teaching you about commercial real estate and ways to make money, income-producing properties. Go to carltondean.com to learn more. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter @JCameronShow. WTSM app works for your mobile devices. Good app right there, that WTSM app. It's free. Find archived audio on that app as well. And you can watch us perform the show on YouTube. Just go to ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube, and you'll find it. And so it is finally here, a regional we didn't expect to be hosting. But thanks to a strong finish to the season, strong is an understatement, a dominating finish to the season, and it was all brought about in a weird manner. Desperation, I suppose, coupled with health. And all of a sudden, this team goes on the road and beats Louisville, then continues that by winning games 4 straight in the ACC tournament. They bring back the hardware, take the ACC title, get up to 39 wins, and get told by the committee, yep, that's good enough. You'll be hosting. And so it is. Florida State now has the longest streak, the current longest streak in the country for consecutive postseason berths, regionals, if you will. And in addition to that, this is an annual tradition. If you're new to Tallahassee, this is kind of what we expect to see, and it looked like that was in peril for much of the year. It turned out that they did what they had to do this hour. I'll make this a quick kind of opening because there's a couple things. I want to play some audio from Mike Martin yesterday in the next segment that's pretty funny. But then also we want to bring in Eric Llewellyn this hour, and he does play-by-play for Florida State. We'll figure out his availability and get him in here and talk long form with him this hour as we kind of prep you for the regional. Auburn has won and held on 7-4 to win that game and had a strong pitching performance, a late rally there by UCF is squashed, and they win the game 7-4. So it'll be Auburn tomorrow night for Florida State. And obviously Holton will pitch in that game. And, you look now, young Drew Parrish goes out here, and you hope that the kind of stuff you saw on display late in the year, and most importantly in that big inning against North Carolina in the championship game, he got the strikeout with the bases loaded 3 times. When he had to have it, he got it. And Florida State kind of, I think, wrestled momentum away from North Carolina in the moment. And obviously the Bats came alive late, and Florida State was able to bring home that title.
Yeah, it will be Auburn for Florida State tomorrow night, provided that Tennessee Tech doesn't actually have,
You're right.
Kyle Schwarber or Buster Posey.
You're right. That was insane. I forgot that can happen. You're right. An assumption made by me, not always fair.
Well, given the way that Parrish has pitched really well.
Listen, it's baseball. All you have to say is it's baseball, given the way that it's baseball. I mean, you could be the best team in the country throwing your ace tonight who's given up 1 run all year long and lose because of baseball.
Sure. So, or you could have a 5+ conference ERA. I don't know what that translates to in the Ohio Valley, but I'm sure it's not that great either.
Probably sub 1. Probably sub 1.
96 home runs, 96 homers. So, I think what's going to be cool about tonight is there will be a greater appreciation, I think, in the stands for the run that this team has gone on. There are times when a regional can be a bit of a snooze fest because you're expected to cruise through it. Those days were, largely in the 90s and the early 2000s. But even still, I mean, when we host a regional here in Tallahassee, we expect Florida State to be the ones advancing to the Super Regional.
You'd like to think, and they have frequently, almost always. Only 3 times have they lost in this round.
But I think there will be an appreciation for this team and the run that it's on and the response of the last couple of weeks. The road trip out to Louisville, Kentucky for true road games, and then neutral site, quote-unquote, for the ACC tournament. And, the animals are always there. But the attendance wasn't great this year because the team wasn't playing all that good. There wasn't the mystique of you can't beat us on the weekend like there was for so many years.
Frustrating.
And there was a malaise, about Florida State baseball for the last month of the regular season. But I think that tonight people are going to show up. I think that thing is going to be rocking, and it's Dick Howser Stadium on a Friday night in a regional.
A lot of goodwill built up with that late season run, and in postseason play is so much fun, and we embrace it. It's a community thing, as I've talked about all week long, and tonight will be a lot of fun, provided the weather holds up.
This is a quote-unquote annual tradition here, I think there's going to be, again, to use the word, appreciation, because we realized this year, we got to see it for 95% of the regular season, that we've been spoiled. But maybe, just maybe, those struggles during conference play will allow us to appreciate what we have here this weekend and what this team could be, too. Because when it puts it all together, holy cow, I don't know many teams in the country that want to play Florida State.
No, and they can be really, really, really good. And I have a sense the thought will be that that happens, that they play well this weekend. And I think they come in probably as confident as they've been really at any point in the last couple of years, because this is a hell of a run that they're on, and they're feeling good. Those kids played loose. It was a lot of fun to watch, too. I hope they carry it over to tonight. Again, I said a short segment to open the hour here because I want to make sure there's plenty of time for our interviews later in the hour with Eric Llewellyn. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic, backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like like a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
And 0% financing for those who qualify. And for one day only, instant rebates up to $1,500. But it's just one day, this Saturday, June 3rd from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to the Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
America, it's time for some straight talk. You love your phone. Look at you. You hardly put it down. But you don't love that expensive wireless plan, do you? So what if I told you can keep that phone, network, and number 2 for a lot less? Well, this is me telling you. It's time to switch to Straight Talk, guys. Bring your own phone and get unlimited plans starting at just $45 a month on America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless. Only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
A seatbelt can stop you from going into a store. A seatbelt can stop you from climbing a tree. It can stop you from flying or from rolling down a hill. A seatbelt can stop you from doing a lot of things, like crushing bones and damaging vital organs. It can even save your life. That's why we enforce seatbelt laws, to save lives. So buckle up every trip, every time. Click it or ticket. Paid for by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Hi, Chris Kraft of Kraft Nissan. Can you believe it? June is already here and school is out. And you know what that means. Baseball, gymnastics, swim team, summer camps, or in other words, nonstop carpooling. So how about treating yourself to a brand new Kraft Nissan crossover or SUV? Take your pick from the crossover that started it all, the luxurious Murano, or America's best-selling crossover, the Nissan Rogue, that gets a combined 29 miles per gallon and has 0% interest for 72 months. When it comes to SUVs, Kraft Nissan has the Go Anywhere Pathfinder and the all-new full-sized Armada, both with standard 3-row seating for 8. So when you finally make time for the family vacation this summer, you'll be going in style. And while my 4 kids are grown and older now, my grandkids love the optional headrest DVD players with wireless headphones. It makes those long road trips fly by, not to mention mom and dad can enjoy a little peace and quiet. Kraft Nissan has 11 different models with 0% interest for 72 months. Folks, that is free money. And as always, Kraft Nissan includes our free lifetime warranty with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Why? Because you can save 45% on packages compared to your high-priced cable bill. Wow. Take those giant scissors out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. 800-344-2066. That's 800-344-2066.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Heading towards the matchup tonight, Florida State. Game 1 of the regional here in Tallahassee for FSU. Drew Parrish on the hill, and I have a sense, my thought is he's going to pitch well. And I think Mike Martin thinks that too. You know, it was we played it some last hour. It's refreshing to hear Mike Martin be as kind of, you know, cheery and folksy as he was yesterday. He's a funny guy, and I've been around him when he's on, per se, quote unquote, and when he's in private mode, and he's funny either way. I mean, he's a funny dude, and he's got stories for days. And I was reminded of the fact that we'll miss him. we'll miss him an awful lot when he's gone, the way that we missed Bowden because of storytelling, folksy ways, down home country, kind of funny guy, lighthearted, good person. I run into him at football games, and he's funny there too, and his wife is great. That's a great family. Anyhow, the point is, when you hear him holding court like that, we'll play the clip for you here in a minute, where he's got everybody kind of laughing in the room and coming along for the ride, and he commands the room, controls it. That's who he is. But that's especially who he is when he's in a good mood and relaxed. And I think what it reveals here, not to play amateur psychologist, but obviously this has been a stressful season and a frustrating one without question. And we know it's frustrating because he said it was. It's not just, I'm not presuming based on the record that it was frustrating. He talked about, good gosh, I got a 20-something-year-old kid with shingles? Really? And he rattled off the amount of injuries that they suffered. He rattled off the amount of times that they had to go out there without a full hand, right? And it was very frustrating. And normally he won't even utter it. And he caught himself when he was doing that because he knows that can be taken as excuses. And other people have injuries, and you have to find a way to fight through it. And he knows that. But the fact that this year, because I'm looking back now, I've had the good fortune of going to Florida State baseball games and covering them since '98. I've been going to them since '91. I just don't ever remember him doing that. He's talked about how unfortunate it is if somebody gets hurt, but he hasn't related it to the season and the campaign they're in and how it affects the team in a negative way and how it could be the cause for the kind of year they're having. He won't usually do that. Coaches in general like to cite next man up, because you don't have a choice. You're going to play the games, and it's a way of infusing your team with confidence and the ability to just go beyond whatever it is they're upset about or frustrated by or what has, at some point beset them, and they're having a hard time getting past it. You can't let that linger. So when you lose a guy that's valuable, you say next man up, because that's what we do. We got a game tomorrow. They're going to play it. They don't really care that our starting third baseman is out, or our right fielder is out, or we lost our ace. They don't care. And so coaches always cite that. And when he brought that up this year and talked about how many different things they've had to kind of work through and work around, I could tell he was very aggravated. So to hear him here, happy, excited to be playing in another regional and looking back fondly on regionals and traumatic endings of the past, because Corey asked him about David Ross's home run, a game I was at, and I can remember it like it was yesterday, and the devastation, because they thought they had him. They did. This has happened a few times in his career, I might add. There have been moments where you thought strike three occurred and it didn't, and the next ball is put in play in a way that impacts you negatively. Not always a home run. Kevin Brown hit a double after we thought we had him struck out for Miami. And there are a lot of moments where, 6 inches here or there. Peachy Billette hit a ball that if it had been fair by 6 inches, we would have beaten Notre Dame. And I've been at the ballpark for those moments. So the guy has seen it all, and he's holding court. This is him talking to the press, but you can hear the sense of relief. Yes, he understands that there's pressure that comes with all of this, but after the year they had, I think he's embracing this postseason and the hosting of this regional probably in a way that's greater than others that came before it to some degree.
You can play well last week. That was last week. Tomorrow, totally different story. It's time for us to be ready to go. We're playing a very good program. I watched them take BP and was a very, very disappointed human being when I got to my car to go get something to eat, and there was a dent in my dadgum car. I will never park beyond that left center field wall again. One guy hit 2 dings over the central. I ain't never gone that direction when I played. Guy hit 2 out to center field. We know that every team here is capable of winning this thing.
Coach, just trying to clarify. So Tennessee Tech dinged up your car during batting practice?
Yes, sir.
Mike, what does it
say about Parrish that you guys are willing to go with him starting off?
Oh, he's been one of our guys, so to speak. I mean, he's been in the rotation all year, and we feel like that he matches up well with who we're playing, if that's possible. So they faced a number of left-handers this year that didn't slow them down, but I just like the way the young man competes.
What was the pitch that David Ross hit out?
It was the second or third breaking ball. And I've gotten over it.
I'm sorry.
Radio announcer, y'all love this one. Meat, that was his mama's nickname to him. Meat is saying, he is in California, and back then we didn't have the real cell phones. We just had those big old things, and my daughter put that big old cell phone and cut the radio on. Well, the late Lee Bowen was doing the announcing, and when David swung at the second curveball, he tipped it, and the ball went off the catcher's mitt, and Lee went, swing and a miss, strike 3, Seminoles win. Well, Mike immediately put his phone down because he's in football, and he had to get the ballpark. So then he gets that night, and he calls his sister, and his sister says, can you believe what happened? He said, what are you talking about, Mary Beth? Don't go playing jokes. She said, no, some guy hit the ball out of the ballpark and we lost. I've forgotten the whole weekend. And then we get Hudson the next day. Man, next question. Corey.
Mike,
yes, sir.
On to happier times. How much of a relief is it playing at home and hosting a regional? Because a week and a half ago, you guys thought you were going to be on the road.
I never said that.
Well done, sir. That audio came to us from Knowles 247. We'd like to thank them for that. But, you know, that story, that moment, these regionals, they'll rip your heart out. But I will tell you, there's a guy that's pretty relaxed, and there's a guy that is feeling good about his baseball team. And there's a guy, by the way, who's also had a ton of success in this format. You know, so much is made whenever Mike Martin's name comes up about the fact that he hasn't won a national title. And a lot of people at that point will say things, they'll equate that with not being able to win big games. But that's absurd. He just hasn't won the final game because this is a team that is 15-3 in this regional format. This sub-regional format since it changed. You didn't have 2 rounds of regionals back in the day. But since they've switched over, they've played in this round of the regional 18 times, and they're 15-3 in getting out of this regional. Meaning they've won 15 of these regionals. You have to win big games to win regionals. You have to, and to do it that consistently says you absolutely can.
Well, and you've been here at Dick Hauser Stadium for us hosting regionals in the old days where there were 6 teams.
Oh, man.
That's wild, man.
You didn't want to fall into that loser's bracket, buddy.
Yeah, it's impossible at that point.
You could do it, but it was hard. It was hard. You had to have a depth of pitching, and it was really hard. You had to have a performance from somebody that you probably weren't really counting on needing to go to. It happened. I've seen him come back out of it before. And some of your better teams can do that because what happens in that old format is if you're a team that maybe pulled the upset and put the favorite team in a bad position, you don't have the depth of pitching usually. So what'll happen is you got to get you almost have to sweep through because if you lose the opportunity to eliminate the team that you've put in that unenviable position, you now are going to a kid that you never thought you could beat a team like this with, and this team has more bats and has a better depth of pitching. Yeah,
it's just convoluted though. 6 is not a good number if you're trying to play a double elimination tournament. That bracket must have looked wild.
Yeah, I remember it very well. It was a lot of stress because obviously it's one thing, winner take all. We're headed to Omaha.
Well, and this is the one time that I really miss. Well, not the one time, but this is one of the few times I really miss being a beat reporter. It's these things. It's these events. I love regional baseball because you get to watch earlier today an Auburn and UCF game, and obviously they've got something in their pitching staff. They got something to offer. And the next thing you go for a break or you get the weather delays, whatever, but you get very used to your seat in the press box. But all you're doing is the same thing in the ACC basketball tournament.
Yeah,
you're just littered with games. There's so much action, and it's a blast to be a part of that. I hope people, if they have season or weekday, not weekday, but weekend passes to this regional and they can't make it today because of work, go to the game tomorrow. Go to that loser's bracket game.
Yeah.
It's just there's so much on the line, and there's an electricity that's unique to itself for postseason formats.
I realize, too, I say how we'll miss him when he leaves, when he decides to step down and retire. But, one of the things I think that has happened to him, and I often am fond of the phrase, you're not a victim of your own success. But obviously that notes that you have to have had quite a bit of success to even have that cross your mind, right? That you couldn't live up to a standard. Well, when that was really set, Tom, was in the early days when I was here and going over to Hauser to do homework. And you go back and look at that time, and I'll start there in 1991. College World Series appearance, 92, College World Series appearance, 93, they get bounced in the regionals. I remember it well. 94, that's the Ross thing that we 94, College World Series, 95, College World Series, 96, College World Series. They get bounced in 97, College World Series in 98, College World Series in 99, College World Series in 2000. Basically, for a decade, save for twice, they went to the College World Series. That was what we thought was the norm at that point. And that is, when you look around, nearly impossible to uphold. It's also infinitely frustrating. That's also where the frustration comes because they had all those opportunities.
Well, in 2002, not too long after that stretch, they went 60 games.
Yeah.
They have a 60-win season in college baseball. Are you
played
kidding
more
me?
games then, but it is crazy.
But
it's
60 wins.
Oh, really frustrating, really frustrating. All I remember about that 60-win team, though, is that I thought that there were at least 5 years in the 90s that those teams were infinitely better than that team.
Well, sure.
Yeah, and results, results can, dictate, that you're in awe of a record, but when you look at the actual players,
But hasn't that been the storyline of the last 5 or 6 years? I think this team is the most talented since you had the lineup that started with Travis and Sherman Johnson and Boyd and Ramsey, and Rafi Lopez. That team could really hit, and they had some pitching to go with it, too. But, we're talking about the 2012 team is the most recent one to make the College World Series and subsequent teams. Those are years when you looked at whenever the season ended, be it in Omaha or Super Regional or whatever it was, you'd look at next year and you'd think ahead and you go, good God, how are they going to win 40 games next year? And then they'd play over their heads. Yeah. They'd be greater than the sum of their
he'd
parts.
Find a way. Yeah, this year, they actually, we thought would easily win 40 games, cruise to it, and then had all these weird things happen and didn't play well at times. And so who knows? Hey, we're doing the reverse here. We'll talk to Eric Llewellyn, does play-by-play for Florida State next.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic, backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
the place to find your next truck in Southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
This is sad now.
Purelator oil, air, and cabin air filters. Nothing gets by us. Available at Advance Auto Parts, Pep Boys, and other fine retailers.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. So dry. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your mouth cannonball into a barrel of mothballs? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Kiana Redding has been chosen Employee of the Month. An accounts receivable specialist, Kiana's determination, dedication to her work, and outstanding performance reflect the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Kiana.
If you're like me, there are a few pieces of advice that stick with you. Be yourself. Always double down. Do ordinary things in extraordinary ways. My dad told me that one, and I'll never forget it. This Father's Day, help make your dad's mornings extraordinary with a Harry's shave set. Each limited edition set has everything he needs for a great shave, including a signature razor, an engravable razor stand, and much more.
Head over to harrys.com and help make Dad's Day extraordinary. Use the code 2424 when you check out, and you'll even get $5 off your set. That's harrys.com, code 2424.
Want to feel like a total boss? Then switch to the best deal in America, Total Wireless. With Total Wireless, you get America's largest, most dependable network plus 5 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited talk and text for only $35 a month. Whoa, how did you get all that? Oh, that's right. You're totally a total boss, and you never sign a contract. Total Wireless, total confidence. Available at Walmart. Always refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at TotalWireless.com.
How's your car's air conditioner working? Could be better? Take it to Auto Super Service Center today for a comprehensive air conditioner service. It's just $49.99. Yep, just $49.99. Since 1980, Tallahassee's trusted name for auto repairs, service, and low prices has been Auto Super Service Center. There are 5 Tallahassee area Auto Super Service Center locations. Find the one nearest you at autosuperservicecenter.com and call for an appointment. $49.99 air conditioner service special is a limited time offer, so call today.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Welcome back, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Today's edition, kind of a celebration, Libations Friday / let's preview the regional, check in on the other regionals, and in that effort, we're going to bring in our good buddy Eric Llewellyn. Of course, you know him as the play-by-play man for Florida State baseball, and he'll be calling the game tonight. Eric, how are you, good sir?
Well, I'm okay, I've got a grievance I've got to bring up with you, Jeff.
Uh-oh. That's popular these days.
Well, you always play Cinderella when you have me on, and I know you're paying homage to my hairband roots, but
right.
I was never a Cinderella fan.
But that's a really good song.
My only Well, hey, their Cinderella was because they had one song where the drummer was wearing a 95 YNF T-shirt.
And it's upside down from our roots in Tampa, and that is the video. The song you just heard is from that video, right? So that's another reason I do it, because you would know the 95 YNF connection, buddy.
Well, I forgot it was that song, but
okay. So now that you know, or am I off the hook? Are we
all
good?
right, you're okay. We're good.
All right, because I would shake it up for you if you want. I'll throw on some Stranger. I mean, we can. What? Did I just go Stranger on you?
There you go.
Yeah, I'll do it, buddy.
God, I once saw Stranger at some little hole in the wall over off of Lake Bradford Road.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Like,
That's
I think it's over there around where your boy has Banditos now.
Ah, okay. That's probably true. Back then, wasn't it the Cow House or something like that back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the place, but it was, one of those.
Some little place like that. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, the Stranger playing to a throng of 500 or maybe 200.
Yeah, it was probably closer to 200. That's about all that place would hold.
Yeah.
It was a good show, man. It was a good show.
As good a show as Stranger can give you.
Well, hey, this was different times, my friend, different times.
I'll tell you what, if Crocus ever cranks it back up, we're there, buddy. All right. So let's do this. I've got my new favorite piece of audio. And
oh boy.
No, this is good. Because here's the thing, Eric. When 11 is in his element, and he's feeling good about things. And I think this reveals that he is relieved that the end of the season turned out the way that it did. But he was in storytelling mode. And in the midst of storytelling mode, of course, he got animated with the press. And I loved it. But I'm only going to play the clip where he's referencing Meat yelling at Mary Beth. On the,
yeah.
Okay. So here, just for all of our listeners,
with our old friend Lebo mentioned in there as well.
It's perfect. But here's just the clip right now for both of us to laugh a little bit, because I'm going to use it from here on out.
So what are you talking about, Mary Beth? Don't go playing jokes.
I'm just going to play that randomly. That's going to be like if something annoys me, or if the Pirates give up the lead in the 8th and somebody says that to me, I'm going to go, "What you talking about, Mary Beth? Don't be playing jokes." That's what I'm going to say every time, no matter what. If something happens that's upsetting, then you hear this.
So what are you talking about, Mary Beth? Don't go playing jokes.
That's it forevermore. That's perfect. I love it. And another musician dies that we happen to like, as it happens weekly these days. That's what you're going to hear.
So what are you talking about, Mary Beth? Don't go playing jokes.
All right. I just figured, because you've seen him like that, and you know that on and off the air, when he's in a good mood, he is an all-timer.
Oh, sure.
And,
absolutely.
And a lot of fun. But I do think, Eric, and let's look at the big picture here, I do think that's because he was relaxed yesterday and in a really good mood in many ways. And I cited earlier when he was talking about all the things that befell this team, and he caught himself earlier in the year and said, I know that's going to sound like excuses, so I probably shouldn't bring it up. I was saying, obviously I've either been in the stands and doing homework or whatever else since 91, and then by 98 I was in media. I don't ever really remember a time where he had a woe is me moment like he had this year, where the frustration, where a kid's got shingles and another kid hurts himself on a throw, and then him talking about it. So I think he feels pretty good that at the end of the day, they righted the ship, and they're hosting yet again, just like it should always be.
Yeah, and that woe is me moment, I'm assuming you're talking about, well, a specific one was at the end of the Wake Forest series when he said, hey, look, we're not hosting. And, I heard you talking about this on Tuesday with Meat when, he actually clarified that because, and I'm not sure whether it was Corey Clark or somebody else who asked him about that and pointed that out. And he said, because when he said it, he started to follow it up, and then he paused and he stopped. And after Florida State did find out they were hosting, I think it was Corey said, you said that, but then you started to follow it up. You stopped. And he said, I wanted to say if we can go on this trip and get on that, and I'm paraphrasing here, this is exactly what he said, but if we could get on a run, Louisville, ACC, that, maybe we could actually still host. He said, but I didn't want the kids in the clubhouse to get all that pressure.
That's correct.
And I thought that was a good point, and it was a very loose team in Louisville, not just after winning 2 games against Louisville, but on the way to the ballpark for the first game against Louisville in the what ended up being a 2-game series instead of 3. And it was a loose team leaving the ballpark after both of the Louisville wins. It was a loose team on the way to the ballpark for the ACC games. And they just kind of had fun this past week in Louisville, and I think it was pretty apparent in not only the attitude of the team when you were around them, but in the way they played when they were out on the field. So hopefully they continue to play that way and continue to do that. But I think it was really Meat brought it up. He said, there was only one time throughout the course of the season where it was, where they had the kids out there at 5 o'clock in the morning and really kind of pressed the finger down on them, so to speak. And the rest of the time it was always, hey, look, we know there's a lot of talent in this room. We feel for you. We just need to, have some things go our way. And I don't think the staff ever panicked. And I think and I think you could see that with the team and the way they finally played through the end of the season. And now it's postseason, and it starts all over again.
If you could ever figure out a way what the formula was, or how to bottle a collective team's attitude, and the players' relaxed sort of manner that you were just describing on the way to the ballpark to face Louisville in what were critical games. I mean, as big a games as any of them would play, because if you don't win that series or you lose to Notre Dame in the ACC tournament the first game, this hosting of a regional doesn't happen.
Right.
And if you go up there and do as everybody else had when facing Louisville in their home ballpark since they've joined the ACC, if you go up there and lose that series, say you go 0-2, as we now know one of the games was rained out, but say you go 0-2 and then you lose to Notre Dame or whomever you would have played in the ACC tournament, you may not make the postseason. It was bizarre. I mean, we were talking about things we've never talked about before, and to see them just play that way and play to their potential, gosh, you just hope they can carry that over tonight and on into this regional.
And it's interesting, too, because it speaks to how difficult it is to be a coach, whether we're talking about baseball or football or basketball, whatever the game is. And I think this even goes into life in general, to be a boss, to be, any kind of leadership position, because, you know what, you have a certain formula that worked over a certain period of time that may not have worked a week earlier or a week later. And you have to be able to read your people. You have to be able to read the people under you to know when to shift into that mode, when to shift into a tighter mode, it's such a good example of how fickle those situations can be.
Well, I don't know what he has to say or do or not say or do, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. But whatever it is, to capture that and carry it over into regional play, obviously that's the goal here, because they're talented enough, Eric. And the talent ceiling on this team, we said all year long, was one that is much better than it's been in recent years. Like, this group collectively is more talented than we've seen the last couple of seasons. And I felt like they could really achieve something and get back out to Omaha. And I still feel that way despite the 20-loss campaign. I feel like this is a team that, if they play to their potential, will win this regional. And I think that, obviously, I like my chances even if they got to go out there to Lubbock. They're a good team.
Well, we got to Louisville, and I've gotten to know their play-by-play guy pretty well over the last couple of years. A guy by the name of Sean Moff, who also does the PA for their football and for basketball. Real good guy, and he's one of those guys where he knows what he's watching when he watches baseball. And we were talking before the first game of the series to end the regular season, and he said this series scares the bejesus out of me because, and that's not the word he used, but I'm substituting there.
Mm-hmm.
He said, this is a team that John Manuel picked to win the College World Series. So he said that that tells me that there's something there that we're just not seeing in the record that you guys have to this point in the season. And he even said, he told me before the game in the ACC tournament, he said, I think you guys are going to win 11-1, 10-run rules in 7 innings. I mean, he just had that kind of feeling about Florida State and how Florida State was playing at that point. So, that's something that he could see in not having watched us throughout the whole year. because he was able to focus in on just what he was seeing at that time rather than have these thoughts come in of, yeah, but man, that team that played Virginia Tech, because he's not thinking that route. He's just thinking, this is what I see in front of me right now, and this is what I think could happen. So it was interesting to see that perspective from him because he hasn't had to sit through the highs and lows of the season.
Yeah, and those who did, and that's you included, as you called all these games, at one time it certainly looked dire, and that was the reason for, my conversation with Mike Martin Jr., and I don't think he appreciated at times things I had to say about this team, and that came across in that interview, but at the same time, I when you're watching a team lose the way they did, I mean, there's a stretch here, Eric, when you go back, it's actually weird when you look at it on paper. I know you called all the games, so you certainly had a front row seat for it. Well, when you go through that stretch where they get beat by Florida and then turn around and lose in heartbreaking fashion in 3 games against North Carolina, they win a couple midweek games there, which is nice, but then they turn right around and lose the series to NC State, and they follow that up with a loss to Florida 10-7. And although they win the Clemson series, let's not forget they lose the first game. They lose the first game of that series in that slugfest 12-10.
Yeah.
So if you just look at that stretch of baseball, oh my, it's pitiful. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. And I know baseball can be cruel, and I don't tend to overreact, but damn it, man.
Well, yeah, and at the same time, you look at those, what went on in those games, and you go on the road at NC State, and you're really a questionable move by NC State's head coach away from winning game 2, and then who knows what happens in game 3 after that, and you're missing Dylan Busby and Jackson Luke at that point, and I think Mendoza was still out at that point. You go to North Carolina, and you have all the stuff happen with Taylor Walls, and you've got Mendoza back in the lineup, but he's in the lineup for the first time, and he's got to face J.B. Bukoska.
Mm-hmm.
But you started, you mentioned that shootout in the first game against Clemson. Nobody had scored that many runs against Clemson all year. And that run total came after falling behind. I think it was 7-0, 8-0 in the first 2 innings.
Right.
So you started to at that point, and then they put up a season high in runs on the Saturday starter for Clemson. They'd never scored a run on Pat Krall, who started what was the Monday game because it was a Saturday, Sunday, Monday series. They'd never scored a run in 3 appearances against Pat Krall in 10 innings, and they scored, I think, 6 runs against him. Go down to Miami. They put a season high in runs up on the Friday starter for Miami. And we started to see the offense click, so now you're like, okay, well, the offense is starting to get it done. Now we need to get some pitching going. And, I think that happened at Louisville. It happened in the 2 games at Louisville. It happened in the ACC, certainly with all 4 of the tournament games there. If you can keep all that going, hey, who knows what this team can do?
Is your sense, and this will be the final question, is your sense that Parrish will pitch well tonight, and that, moreover, in looking at the fact that they tabbed him to pitch, and obviously he found his changeup, and he can be good. I mean, he can be really good, and Holton obviously Holton found his changeup, and he can be really good when he's done that. Do you think those 2 kids will pitch more the way that we saw them pitch here down the stretch where they were electrifying? Sands, excuse me. Do you think that Sands and Parrish will pitch more of the way that they pitched down the stretch than they did during the course of the season and moving forward?
Well, you'd hope so. I don't have a crystal ball, so.
Well, I just meant, was there something? Have you found out anything about why they look so much better? Have you heard anything? I know Mike told me about the changeup, and he was talking about that quite a bit with Sands, and so anyhow, I'm just wondering. I know they called the game a little differently, and he kind of hinted at that.
Yeah. Well, Parrish is a kid that he probably throws harder than people give him credit for. He's got good arm action, and the ball can kind of sneak up on you, but he's a kid that's usually going to be 88 to 90, can hit 91, 92, but he needs his curve and his changeup to be working, and his curveball when it's working is a nasty pitch.
Yeah, it's filthy.
So when he's got those 2 pitches going for strikes, he's going to be very tough. He's had those pitches for strikes, in the relief appearance in the ACC tournament, in the start in the ACC tournament. that appearance coming in relief,
And
against
striking 3 guys
North
out.
Carolina,
Yeah.
and striking 3 guys out with the bases loaded,
Doing some things.
that's that's
Cojones.
right there.
Cojones, ready? Yeah, that's huge. Moxie.
So, if he comes out and he throws those 2 pitches for strikes, I think he's going to be very tough. He's going against a lineup that leads the nation in home runs. They're in the top 10 offensively in a bunch of categories, but they also do play in the Ohio Valley Conference. And, again, not to take anything away from them, but that's not exactly the ACC or the SEC or the Atlantic Sun even. So, again, not to try to belittle them. That's not what I'm trying to do, but are they closer to the kind of team that you might expect to see offensively? Are they as good offensively as Wake Forest? I don't know. I don't know how the Ohio Valley Conference and how their ballpark translates to that type of comparison. So, I think he doesn't need to worry about that. I think he just needs to worry about going out and locating those 2 secondary pitches to go along with his fastball, and I think he'll be fine.
I think it's going to be a good weekend, man. I've got a good feeling. And since you're doing play-by-play, I certainly am not going to ask you to give any predictions. But, I feel like they're going to play well this weekend. I hope they can bottle whatever that loosey-goosey attitude was up there on that epic road trip where you were gone for half the year. And keep things rolling, man.
Hey, double Hilton points, man. It was good. It was a good 11 nights.
Be well, good sir. I'll see you tonight. All right.
Sounds good.
Take care. That's Eric Llewellyn. He'll be doing play-by-play for the game tonight, and it was a road trip for the ages. I know those that were on it felt like it was interminable. But the results were so good that, as much as you'd like to get home and see your friends and family and lay in your own bed and all that, I imagine they're like, well, this has kind of completely changed the outlook for the campaign here. We can stay in Kentucky for another month if you'd like, if we're just going to keep winning every time we play, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah, and I just wonder, I see the optimism in your eyes, but I'm wondering, does the crystal ball effect, to steal what Eric was talking about, does that go away now that they're back in Florida? Or does your clairvoyance that extends to Louisville, Kentucky proper make its way back here?
Well, I'm going to bank on history, man. I'm going to look at a guy that in this format, since the format shifted, has gone 15-3. He's won 15 of these regionals and lost 3 of them. And you look at the super regional and the overall playoff record and all that stuff. But this first regional, since they've switched it up, is not been that big a bugaboo. Now, I know it's in our head that in 2014 they lost here in the sub. I still call it the sub regional. They don't tend to do that. But so it's in your mind. It's on your mind that it happened. But he's had a lot of success in these.
Yeah, but what's on, I think, most people's minds who've been dialed into this team this year is Parrish, Sands. What do they do?
Yeah, what do they do?
What are their lines
Well,
for the
that's the
weekend?
whole thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it could turn the other way just like that.
Well, those 2 kids, you're very much nailing it here. There's no doubt. I don't look at the lineup and worry about it. Now, maybe they are victimized by a guy who has a great night. It happens. But if you're just trying to base it on percentages and what you've seen and evidence that you can, throw an educated guess out there, I think it'll be fine offensively. It's down to Parrish tonight and Sands whenever he makes his appearance. I mean, it'll be a big damn deal.
Yeah, I mean, Holton could go out there and stink tomorrow.
Right, it could happen.
That's
Right.
baseball. That's the way baseball happens.
And
but
that's the heartbreak of baseball.
Sure,
Yeah.
but if you're just looking at it before this whole thing starts,
Yeah.
what's the key? The key to me is you combine those 2 pitching lines. What do they look like? How many innings can they get you?
Yeah.
And how many runs do they give up? It's very simple.
Because in 35-plus innings of the ACC tournament, they had a 1.62. So the pitching staff, I mean, I'm talking about the bullpen. I'm talking about, Sands' appearance. I'm talking about Parrish's appearance. I mean, they pitched. If they pitch anything, they don't have to throw a 1.62 this weekend, but anything close to a 3, they're cruising out of this thing, in my opinion. I think they would. So we'll come back and say goodnight.
I mean, the open would be like 3 minutes.
Okay, so what do you...
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.